Story Recap here. Today I'm going to explain an action, adventure, and fantasy film called Reign of Fire. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Years ago, young Quinn visited his mother, Karen, at the London Underground while there was ongoing construction. Karen was the construction crew chief, and upon seeing her son, she immediately knew something was wrong. Then, Quinn gave his mother a piece of paper showing how much he needed to pay for his studies. Karen said they didn't have enough money, so Quinn suggested asking his father to pay. Unfortunately, Karen didn't think it was a good idea, and her conversation with Quinn was interrupted when a crew member, Stuart, called her to check something. Moments later, Quinn talked to Jess, who let him go inside the hole he was drilling. With a flashlight, Quinn explored the place, which turned out to be a cave. A fire then suddenly started, and it wasn't long before Quinn realized it was because of a dragon. The dragon knocked Quinn down with its saliva, but that didn't stop the boy from fleeing and warning his mother about the creature. Seeing Quinn's red eyes, Karen scolded Jess for letting her son go inside the hole. Worried, Karen quickly washed Quinn's eyes while Jess and Stuart checked the void, but the dragon killed them with fire. And as the flames spread throughout the tunnel, Karen rushed to the lift with Quinn. However, the dragon caught up to them and crushed the lift, leaving Karen dead and Quinn the only survivor. In 2020, Quinn writes notes and talks about how the dragon spawned so fast. According to him, more dragons appeared after the incident at the London Underground, burning everything in their paths as they fed. Eventually, the scientists discovered that the dragons had burned the dinosaurs to dust and had scorched the earth clean of life. As if that isn't enough, the dragons are only waiting for the earth to replenish itself, to start their cycle anew. Quinn also adds that their weapons were no match for the dragons, and the planet just continued to be destroyed. So, the few people who were left fled the cities and found shelters where they could. Despite everything, Quinn remains hopeful that humans will outlast the dragons. While working in a stone castle in Northumberland one day, Quinn is asked by Jerry to see the sprinklers he's built. Then, a guy tells him to check on Eddie, so Quinn gives his pickaxe to a boy named Jared and orders him to keep an eye on everyone working in the bunker. Quinn quickly puts on a shirt as he looks for Eddie, running outside until he finds the man. Eddie says he'll be harvesting with some men, but Quinn stops him and points out that half of their stuff is unripe. Quinn is worried that they won't have any seeds to plant next season if Eddie's group harvests early, but Eddie believes they'll starve to death before the next season. Still, Quinn reminds Eddie of their plan to dig in, work together, and outlast the dragons. Sadly, Eddie says kids can't eat hope, adding that he's done listening to Quinn. Exasperated, Quinn takes the keys to the vehicle while his best friend, Creedy, tells Eddie he'll jeopardize their community once he proceeds with his plan. Seeing that the argument is over, Quinn leaves with the keys, and Creedy teases him for what he did. Afterward, Quinn and Creedy perform a stage play for the children. Then, they pray before bedtime, and the men remind the children to always keep an eye on the sky and to run for shelter once they see dragons. Meanwhile, Eddie asks Michael to come with him and tells his wife, Lynn, to keep quiet as they sneak out with more people to harvest some crops. As they gather tomatoes, the guard at the castle, Barlow, sees a dragon and orders the alarm to be raised. Quinn immediately wakes up and takes a boy with him before checking on the other kids with Creedy. Quinn and Creedy make sure that everyone is already in the shelter, and Quinn soon learns from Lynn what's happening in the field. Eddie's group continues to harvest tomatoes, but Michael sees a dragon and rushes to find Eddie. Unfortunately, the dragon soon attacks and burns the crops, also eating a man as he tries to flee. Eddie finally sees what's happening and quickly looks for Rachel and his son, Devin, but Michael is nowhere to be seen. Then, an injured Michael shows up and says their other companion is dead, but before they can escape, the dragon burns their vehicle. Despite that, they still try to find a way out of that place, but the dragon continues to burn the crops. Luckily, Quinn, Creedy, and Jared arrive in armored vehicles with water cannons to extinguish the fire, wearing fireproof suits and wasting no time getting Eddie and the others to safety. Devin operates one of the water cannons, but the dragon stops them as they leave and breathes fire. Sadly, Devin is killed, but Creedy and Quinn still drive the vehicles to get away while Eddie cries after witnessing what happened to his son. Back at the castle, Quinn and Creedy drink as they talk about what happened to Devin. Quinn thinks Eddie was right that there wouldn't be another harvest, but even though half of their crops are gone, Creedy believes they'll pull through. Of course, Quinn is not giving up, but he can't help but feel miserable sometimes. Concurrently, Ajay calls Barlow and informs him he heard voices on the radio. From the tower, Barlow uses his binoculars to look around the area, and sure enough, he sees a tank approaching with other military vehicles. Ajay then sounds the alarm, so the people arm themselves before taking their positions. The military vehicles stop a few minutes later, and when a man comes out of one of them, Creedy realizes they're dealing with Americans. The man, Denton Van Zandt, asks who's in charge, forcing a reluctant Quinn to meet him. Denton reveals to Quinn that his group is called the Kentucky Irregulars, adding that they rebuilt a National Guard C-5A and flew it 8,000 miles on 2 engines. Denton also says they tried setting it down on the old strip outside Manchester and lost 122 men, asking Quinn to give them shelter and a place to refit artillery. He promises to leave the next day, but Quinn doesn't believe his story and asks him to leave. However, Denton has no intention of doing that, implying that they can take the castle by force. He then shows Quinn a dragon's tooth and says he got it off the first one he killed, recounting how he slew the beast in late November when the sun was setting. At that time, Denton realized that while dragons have great vision during the day and even better vision at night, they can't focus on the failing light. Denton calls it the magic hour and gives the tooth to Quinn, and that's when Quinn finally welcomes him to the castle. As the Americans enter the castle, Quinn shares with Creedy that Denton is a dragon slayer. Understandably, Creedy finds that hard to believe, but as Quinn insists the guy is telling the truth, a helicopter suddenly flies overhead and sets down near the military vehicles. Denton introduces Quinn to Alex, the pilot, so Creedy introduces himself too. Once Denton is gone, Creedy asks Alex about her company. Alex replies they're the Archangels, who jump out of the chopper to snare dragons with nets. But Creedy finds that ridiculous, offending Alex and making her walk away. Then, before leaving, Quinn reminds Creedy to keep the kids in the shelter and be alert. Later, Alex borrows a whetstone from Quinn. She also asks if Jared is his son, but Quinn says he rescued the boy from a village when he was 3 years old. After that, Quinn asks Alex what the Americans really want, but she just tells him to talk to Denton. At the same time, Barlow spots a dragon again, causing everyone to prepare for an attack. Denton orders Goosh to set up the triangulators before telling Tito, Meade, and Piscatella to get the verticals up. The Americans immediately leave in their vehicles and helicopter, but Quinn and his group stay behind. As the Americans search for the dragon, Denton instructs Alex to stay on deck until the verticals are up. Once 2 of them are in place, he tells Alex to go to 5,000 feet and fly directly above his location. Then, he orders the Archangels, Gideon, Alvarez, and Jefferson to bring the dragon right down on his head, saying he'll take it from there. So Gideon informs Alvarez he'll be the bait while he plans to be a gunner like Jefferson. Unfortunately, the dragon suddenly flies near the chopper, forcing Alex to lose it in the clouds. To make things worse, Piscatella struggles to get the 3rd vertical up. Ajay and Quinn listen to everything on the radio from the castle, and they hear the dragon attack Piscatella. Then, Ajay tells Quinn that Alex will be flying blind if they don't get the 3rd vertical in place. Seeing smoke from Piscatella's location, Quinn takes a horse and follows the guy, who is nowhere to be seen. Luckily, Quinn finds a vertical and quickly sets it up, giving Alex and Denton visuals. However, the dragon suddenly comes at the helicopter and causes Alvarez to fall, leaving Gideon and Jefferson with no choice but to jump out of the chopper too. The Archangels do their best to lead the dragon to Denton, and the gunners shoot the beast with nets before it can eat Alvarez. But both nets just fly right by Gideon, and it isn't long before the dragon attacks Alvarez with fire. As Alvarez crashes and dies, the dragon goes after Jefferson and eats him. Gideon manages to avoid the creature and deploys his parachute before he crashes, so Alex informs Denton that he's down. Meanwhile, Quinn talks to Denton through Piscatella's radio and tells him his man is gone. With their time running out, Denton asks Quinn to be the bait and ride the North Road to the quarry to bring him the dragon. Then, Denton prepares the harpoon cannon and immediately shoots the dragon once he sees it, almost hitting Quinn in the process. Still, the dragon breathes fire as it's about to crash, but Denton jumps out of the vehicle in time. After that, Denton takes a tooth from the dead dragon. That night, everyone at the castle celebrates and cheers for those who risked their lives killing the dragon. Sad to say, Denton is not in the mood to join them, for he just lost 3 men. Disgusted, Denton leaves after telling the people to continue their soiree, reminding his men they'll bury their dead at dawn. Early in the morning, Quinn confronts Denton and asks why they're there, but instead of answering Quinn's question, Denton leads him to Alex and gives the woman the Archangel's dog tags. Denton tells Quinn that Alex is the keeper of the dead, adding that he's out of men. Then, Alex reveals to Quinn that the dragon Denton killed was a female, saying there was at least one egg, probably more. She also tells Quinn that all the dragons they killed were females, and that's when Denton says Alex discovered a male dragon 2 years ago. Alex thinks that just like fish, the female dragons spawn the eggs while one male passes over and fertilizes thousands. After studying the epidemiology of those things, Denton's group found out that the dragons are from London. Denton says they're there because they want to hunt the male dragon in London, and they need more soldiers. However, Quinn refuses to help Denton and makes it clear that his main goal is to protect his people. Sadly, Denton points out he's only letting them die slower. Denton leaves disappointed, and when Alex asks Quinn what happened in London, Quinn shares his mother died in a railway tunnel there. Upon hearing Quinn's story, Alex suspects he's already seen the male dragon. At the same time, a Jay shows up and asks Quinn to follow him. As it turns out, Denton is looking for volunteers to join his group in London. Eddie decides to come with him, but Quinn shows up to stop Denton from taking his people. Quinn punches Denton without warning, but the American retaliates and eventually beats him. Several men have to step in just to break up the fight, and soon, Denton walks away. Afterward, Quinn tends to his wounds before talking to Jared, who plans to go with Denton's group. Of course, Quinn tries to stop Jared, but the boy thinks they're wasting time. Defeated, Quinn lets Jared go and tells him to look after himself. Then, Denton's group finally leaves with some of Quinn's people, including Eddie. Meanwhile, Quinn goes to the field to gather the crops that weren't destroyed by the dragon. Also, Jared has decided to stay and apologizes to Quinn for trying to leave, but Quinn doesn't feel bad and just hugs him. In the evening, Quinn examines the dead dragon's body and takes its eggs while Denton's group finds an obstruction on the highway to London. Denton then asks Alex and the chopper to find a way around, but when a dragon shows up, he tells everyone to prepare to fight. Unfortunately, their guns are no match for the dragon, forcing Denton to hide under one of the vehicles as the beast burns everything in its path. In Northumberland, a Jay hears Alex on the radio as she tells Denton she's coming back. When Alex arrives, Denton informs her that the male dragon is responsible for the wreckage she sees. They then decide to return to the castle, helping one of the men who survived the attack. Sad to say, the male dragon follows their route and tracks the castle, burning the entire place. Creedy does everything he can to help the people hide in the shelter while Quinn rushes to head back to the castle on his horse. Quinn sees the dragon as it leaves before going inside and finding Jared and Creedy, instructing his best friend to go to the bunker as he helps 2 kids. Then, Quinn gives Jared the boy, and they join the others in the shelter. With no time to waste, Quinn turns on the sprinklers and gives Creedy a fire extinguisher before he looks for other people who might be trapped in the castle. However, Creedy is just about to go upstairs when the dragon breathes fire, killing him and slamming the door to the shelter shut. A devastated Quinn tries and fails to open the door, but he soon realizes that his people need him and prays with them. Later, Denton and the others rescue the survivors in the castle. Denton salvages whatever he can from the armory, and Quinn finally decides to join him and Alex in hunting the male dragon. Then, Quinn entrusts his people to Jared before leaving with the Americans in the chopper. The trio heads down to the coast and soon reaches the heart of London. There, they witness the male dragon eating another dragon from afar, proving how much they're starving. Quinn then takes them to an underground passage leading to the construction site, where they talk about their plan to get to street level, bring the dragon to the ground, and shoot it in the chest with C4 arrows. Climbing the shaft, the trio reaches the streets and quickly hides in a rail car. Denton realizes it takes 12 seconds for the dragon to make a turn, planning to use that window to split up as they shoot the beast from different angles. It isn't long before the dragon makes a turn, so Alex stays in the rail car as Quinn rushes to the west wall while Denton takes the north. But unfortunately, Quinn loses his arrows. Meanwhile, Denton gets in position and shouts to instruct Alex to run straight to the base of the chimney. The dragon follows Alex as she moves toward Denton's location, allowing Denton to shoot the beast with a C4 arrow. But the dragon suddenly breathes fire and destroys the arrow, flying away unharmed. Enraged, the dragon rushes Denton, so the American jumps from the chimney to kill it with his axe, only to be swallowed by the beast in mid-air. Quinn then hides with Alex and tries slowing down the dragon with his gun when it finds them, but he runs out of bullets and just runs. Luckily, they find another hiding spot, and Alex notices an arrow by the truck. Quinn quickly moves to retrieve the arrow, which he immediately loads into the crossbow as Alex distracts the dragon. Relying on the magic hour, Quinn gets the beast's attention, shooting it in the mouth with the arrow before it can breathe fire and causing it to explode. With the male dragon finally dead, Alex approaches Quinn and tells him that Denton always thought he could kill the dragon. Sometime later, Quinn's group sets up a radio tower on a hill. Jared then arrives and says they got a message from survivors in France who want to speak to the person in charge. So Quinn makes Jared their new leader and tells him to talk to the survivors. Once the boy leaves, Alex asks Quinn if he thinks they'll be able to get back on their feet. It's been 3 months since they last saw a dragon, and while Quinn can't answer Alex's question, he makes it clear he'll focus on rebuilding their lives.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.